Hi there. My name is Alyssa, and I am a coach here at Portland State. And today, our presentation is on self-management, particularly in awareness, structure, and accountability for Frank classes this fall 2024. Before we get started, I want to let you know that there are documents on Canvas that your professor should have uploaded beforehand that are going to include some information on academic coaching, and there's a screenshot here example, as well as some fillable worksheets. And I invite you to kind of follow along with me. There's going to be several points through the presentation where I will pause and allow you to fill in some information as we go to make this a little bit more interactive. So to start us off, this is some of the services that are available through the Student Academic Support Services. That includes the Learning Center, academic coaching, the Student Learning Initiatives, and academic testing services. So this presentation today is part of our Roads to Success presentations that you might see in some of your other classes and throughout campus. So our presentation today, I want to start out by talking about time management versus self-management. So we kind of want to shift away from thinking of managing time and shift it more onto thinking about managing ourselves, because we haven't quite figured out a way to manage time as a human society. So taking control of time doesn't really mean too much. In fact, what it kind of infers is that you're treating a symptom of what is causing you stress rather than addressing the root problem. So we want to think instead of self-management that the greater good in education defines as the ability to navigate and shift your thoughts, feelings, and actions to make choices that help yourself and others. So really what this is it gives you agency and autonomy and encourages you to think instead about controlling things that are actually within your control. So effective self-management is going to include self-awareness or knowing your energy levels, work schedules, and other commitments you may have. Structure and routine. So those are methods that help you be consistent and get things done. Accountability, which is a regular check-in with yourself or maybe others. And evaluation. So determining whether or not what you're doing is actually serving your needs. So being a student is only one part of our identity. There's a lot of other things in our life that need to be acknowledged and fulfilled. So that can include our personal responsibilities, family and close relationships, self-care, hobbies, and other things we enjoy, our work schedule, and then our school commitments, not necessarily in any particular order. But structure helps you to have as much time as possible for all the things that are important to you. So let's start thinking about self-management by examining the importance of self-awareness or knowing yourself. So as a student, some of the questions you may ask yourself that could include what are your needs in that moment and how can you address them? What things have worked for you in the past and what haven't? What things distract you and what things might help you focus? Also, what time of day do you study best? What environment do you study best? And then also, do you need marathon study times or do you need more shorter bursts? And then also, what other time commitments do you have throughout the term? So these things are really important for making sure that whatever structure you try to incorporate is going to help you to get things done properly. So I encourage you to take a moment and take a pause and think about some of the ways that you keep track of your time and your commitments. So you may want to write these down or just kind of think about them quietly. But also think about, is there anything that you're doing that's working particularly well? Or are there things that you would like to improve upon? So once you've taken a moment, you can resume the video and just keep these things in mind as we continue talking about structure and consider whether or not our strategies might work for you and your schedule. So structure and or routine, or in other words, how do we get things done? Structure is something that we can use to lessen decision fatigue. So structure in this sense is going to be something that we employ to give us a sense of direction. So, decision fatigue is a mental overload that can affect your ability to continue making decisions. Whether or not you're aware of it, we're making decisions almost constantly in our day-to-day life. And a lot of these may be kind of automatic, but they're still decisions and they can still weigh on us. So, learning how to prioritize and organize and simplify ahead of time can help us when we have those moments where we feel particularly overwhelmed, so we can help to mitigate. Some of the structural elements that we've found to be helpful for students are going to include things like a calendar view, a weekly view, and task lists. So that's what we're going to go through today. And as we're going on, you're going to hear me say a few times, but the right way to manage things is the right way that works for you. So first off, the calendar view is the most zoomed out view of your academic term. So there's a lot of different ways to keep track of this. Pretty much anything that would be what you would consider a traditional calendar. Could be things like Google Calendar, Apple Calendar. It could be a spreadsheet, a paper planner. It could be something you have on your wall. There's lots of different options out there. But essentially the goal with this is to avoid surprise due dates. So in an ideal situation, you're going to be reviewing this pretty regularly to make sure that you're not too surprised by anything and you're just kind of keeping up with everything. And one thing that's really helpful for Portland State students is that if your professors are using Canvas, you can actually sync it to your Google or Apple Calendar, so things will auto-populate. So this here is an example of the term study plan that's included in your handouts. And I just filled this in with just some just various things. So we've got the days of the week here. We've got Saturday and Sunday grayed out. And what I included here are some assignments for some made up classes and a few other personal commitments. So for your own calendar, you want to include as much detail as you need. So at minimum, you might want to include things like due dates for assignments, but even better could be times that you plan to work on different things, when you plan to study, and etc. I know for some people, adding too much detail can get pretty overwhelming. So you want to make sure and use the amount of detail that is right for you, not the amount of detail you think that you should be adding, if that makes any sense. So that may change from, different points in the term. It's a balance, and just work with your brain and use what's best for you. So a weekly view is going to be more zoomed in. It's going to look at things on a week by week basis. So this might be something you keep with your regular calendar, or it could be a separate thing or a notebook. Whatever the method is, use the one that works for you and be consistent. So keep it in the same place. Just keep track of it. So you can include discrete times here. You might say work on this thing from this time to this time, or it may just be you highlight available time blocks. Okay, I have from this time to this time open. So things that you would want to include in there are going to be academic things, so studying, reading, assignments, etc. But also don't forget your other life stuff. So it could be things like appointments, but also sometimes it can be helpful to schedule in purposeful time with friends and family and relaxing, just so you make sure that you have enough time for everything. So two of the examples that we have included in the handouts are the week by week view. So this is going to have the different weeks broken out. We've got 10 weeks plus finals weeks, so that's number 11. So you can put due dates and deadlines and then tasks. And the other is a weekly view. So this is kind of a template you might use every week if it's more helpful to break things out in this format. Again, no correct answer. The correct answer is the one that works for you. So zooming in a little bit more, we have our task list view. So this is even more narrowed in, and it can be for a myriad of things. It could be daily lists, it could be kind of a running list, whatever you need. So things that you may need to do with these lists could be brain dumping all your upcoming tasks. It could be trying to organize things by priority, trying to gain or keep momentum by listing things out, or even trying to check things off as wins as you get them completed. There's countless methods and apps out there for keeping the lists, whatever is handy for you. So one example that we have is where you would have a list of tasks on the left-hand side, and this is essentially could be your space to brain dump up coming tasks you have, and then check them off as you go. But sometimes it's more helpful to break things down a little bit more into more bite-sized pieces. So on the right side, there's a spot for, we arbitrarily picked like 2 different tasks you might have that have additional steps to them, and then places where you can break those out. And then also a spot at the bottom for notes if you need them. So an example that we put together, this is a little bit to look at, but you're welcome to pause if you would like. But we've got a bunch of tasks on the left, we've got things broken down on the right, and some notes on the bottom. So the thing is that the tasks that you need to break down might not be the most crucial ones to get done in that moment. It just may be that you just have more steps to that. So one of the things I have listed here is finish math homework due tomorrow. So that's probably going to be your top priority, but that one might be a little more straightforward than start your economics essay. So you might need to break those ones out a little bit more or finish a chem lab write-up. So it's just one method, and you could do this any number of ways. You could have multiple different tasks you're breaking down. Whatever works for you, this is just one suggestion we have. One of the things we wanted to highlight is that power in small steps. So this is an illustration here of having big steps versus small steps. Even though you're trying to get the same distance to a goal, sometimes those bigger steps are just too hard to manage. And so having a lot more smaller steps sometimes can take a lot of the mental load off of you and make it a lot easier to get to where you're going. So take a few minutes and practice this out. So you can use any or all of the handouts in your packet, the calendar view, weekly view, week by week view, task list template, and fill it in however you see fit. And the idea here is not for things to be perfect, just to see what of these methods could fit in with what you need this term. So here are a few tools that have been recommended again and again by some of our coaches and some of our students that might be helpful along the way. I'm just going to kind of breeze over these. Easily my favorite tool is the Magic To Do. So the web application can be found at goblin.tools. That's just what you type in your search bar. But this is an AI generated it makes lists for you, so you can put in a big task and it will break it down into smaller tasks. And you can also use it to estimate time to complete different tasks, which is really, really neat. Another great one is Finch, which is a gamified habit tracker. You can use it for meditation. You can use it for timers, for mental health support. Really cute free app. Then Google Keep is a really robust one. You use your Gmail account and you can keep track of lists and notes and all kinds of different things. Toggl is a really helpful one if you like to use timers, but you can track the amount of time you're spending on different tasks and you can see those things visually. And then last is Obsidian, which is much bigger than just like for keeping track of tasks. You can use this to take notes, but this also has numerous plugins, a very powerful app. And all of these have free versions available that are very robust. You do not need to pay for full versions of any of these apps. And last, before we depart this section of our presentation, is the important urgent matrix. I'm going to kind of breeze through this one. This one's also called the Eisenhower matrix. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's said that it was developed by President Eisenhower. Regardless, it's a way of breaking down a list of tasks that you have and trying to figure out how to prioritize. So you'll organize things on your list by whether they're important, urgent, not urgent, or not important to figure out where to get started when you're stuck. So our next section is accountability, or how we're using it is motivation to stick to plans. So accountability can actually be a really powerful tool for sustaining motivation. Motivation could be a whole presentation on its own, but as for just kind of a taster for today, we're thinking about using shame-free accountability to others to help you stick to plans. So shame-free is the operative word here. So before meeting with others, it can be really helpful for you to determine what your goals are and how you'll track progress. And then also, is there anything in your way? So is it a lack of motivation or procrastination or other barriers? So then when you meet with your accountability buddy or your person you're meeting with for accountability, you can kind of use your time then to brainstorm how to get around things if you do just a little bit of prep beforehand. So some options for creating accountability as far as venues to do it could be study or working groups. It could be meeting with your classmates or working together, or it could be just kind of sitting in the same room and working on different things, which we would call body doubling. You can also have people that maybe not in your classes, but have similar goals to yourself to plan check-in times. It could be semi-regular meetings with a professor or a mentor, checking in office hours, setting meeting times to discuss your progress, or it could be utilizing Portland State services such as academic coaching or tutors, just using those as needed for accountability. Or it could even be things like public check-ins. It could be posting on your social media that, hey, I'm working on this thing. Now you said you're going to do it, so you got to do it. Again, we want to make sure all of these things stay shame-free, so you're able to stick with them, but also in a way that's very positive for you. So moving on to our last section, which is evaluation, and we're thinking of this as reflecting on your current methods. So the importance of self-evaluation, which if you're looking into other resources might be called self-assessment or self-monitoring, is that you're taking time to reflect on whether what you're doing is actually working well for you. So some of the benefits of this are a better understanding of your own strengths and weaknesses, which is not just an academic thing that can go far beyond your school career. It's also building ownership of your learning journey and then being able to use these skills then moving forward once you're done with your degree. So your study methods and strategies can be different from class to class. It could be different from term to term or year to year, and ultimately they should. If things aren't working for you and you need to change, that's fine. That's expected. And ultimately, like I said before, you need to do what's best for you, not for anybody else, but for you. And also don't forget to celebrate progress. So you're working towards establishing a healthy relationship with your education and your time. So you don't have to wait until you achieve everything on your list to acknowledge your progress. It's okay to say that, hey, I haven't finished this class yet, but I finished this assignment. I finished this other thing on my list. That's great. It's progress, it's not perfection. So just acknowledge those wins along the way and just remember to reward yourself from time to time. So that's it for our presentation. If you end up wanting more support, we invite you to meet with an academic coach. We're available anytime that Portland State is open. We have in-person meetings as long as the campus is open, and we have remote options just about always. So we're always here to help you dig deeper into your goals. You can make an appointment with us either by using the website that is included here or by emailing mycoach@pdx.edu or using the QR code that is on your handouts. Thank you so much.